So upcoming Friday nights, me and the degenerate boys that we are, we're coming back with the betting show.
You look at the way he bounces off tacklers, the way that he keeps his eyes downfield, his vision, his ability to find holes, his pass catching ability, right? Because he had.
In my lifetime, I'd put him at probably around the 2 area, with, again, the only other person up there being King Ricky.
Anthony Richardson or Caleb Williams at the 111.
Yeah.
So just hit us.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of BSing Sports, where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports. Here with me is my dancing co-host, Mr. Jacob Krogan. You can not find him on Twitter. Unfortunately, he is off of Twitter. If you missed why, go watch our last episode. But you can find me on Twitter at BSing_sports. I promise to everybody out there, I will try and be more active, settling into the new job, getting a little bit more comfortable with my new routine, where I don't wake up at 4:45 in the morning on weekdays. So, yeah, I started going to the gym at night after work. First time I've done that in years.
Proud of you. That's how it should be.
No, if you see how crowded it is, I wish, but I just had to make a change. I wasn't consistent enough. So, here we are. Also, here we are on this show. It's 15 weeks into the fantasy football season. Most leagues just had the first round of their playoffs complete. And Jake, we will start with that. How did your first round of playoffs go?
Not great. I'm not going to lie to you. It went pretty piss poor. I made 10 of my 11 leagues in the playoffs, and I went 2-4 in the leagues I didn't have a first round buy in. So
I think a lot of leagues with a first round buy.
Yeah,
so you've
four.
got, what, six in semis then?
Pardon?
You've got 6 teams in semis?
Yep, I got 6 teams in the semis. Yep.
Good deal. Good deal. I also have 6 teams in the semis, but all of them had to play this past weekend. And I will say I probably just had the best week of fantasy football in my life. Every single team that I had dominated. It was insane. In some 10-team, super flex tight end premium PPR leagues, where your average is 150, good teams, 160 points per game. Every single one of those leagues that I had in that format put up over 200 points. So
yeah, one of those leagues you put me in the dirt, buried me 6 feet under, brought me back out, and then put me back under again. It just for no reason.
Yeah, it was I made the last second switch on Saturday from Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, and I will never doubt myself ever. Make sure that I just go with my first move there and deal with the consequences, in which case the consequences were very positive for me, very negative for you. Hunter White says hi. Hello, Hunter White. Good evening or morning, wherever you are in the world. How are you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe if you have not done so already. But with 15 weeks of fantasy football behind us, we have some new information, and I feel like it would be a fun exercise to go ahead and do.
Donate 200. 200 pennies?
Yeah, 200 pennies. I feel like it would be a fun exercise to do a 2025 rookie redraft, where these guys have had 15 weeks to show we have completely new information about the, how the talent has unfolded through year one, the situations have unfolded. And I feel like this would be a fun exercise to see where we're at now versus where we were back then. I will preface that this is a 2-round mock draft. This was hard, and a lot of my draft picks are kind of in tiers, where you could convince me one way or another, to take the guy that I have behind them, in front of them. And this should be an interesting draft, I think, between Jake and I. We already have a couple different draft strategies there. That being said, I will share the screen. Jake, go ahead and kick us off with the 101.
Oh, okay.
And he froze. Wow, I did all that talking just for him to freeze. So that is fantastic.
What?
The format here is Superflex tight end premium, the tight end premium being 1.5. So not super heavy. Jake, you are unfrozen now. Why don't you finally give us the 101 we have been waiting in anticipation on?
The 101 that we have been waiting in anticipation for is quite simple. It's Jackson Dart. I changed it up from what we had talked about previously, but Jackson Dart is the 101 here for me, and it's pretty simple. He has rushing upside, and he averaged 17.8 points. Am I still frozen?
Nope, you're good.
Oh, what was the last thing you heard?
Very simply, it's Jackson Dart. Basically, just start from there.
Yes, the correct answer is Jackson Dart. Man averaged 17.8 points a game when he plays. Yeah, there's some injury concern because he doesn't like to, slide or run out of bounds when he should, and likes to take unnecessary risks. But he did all that without Malik Neighbors, and most of it without Scadaboo. And that team can only get better. There's no way the Giants get worse. And I think with another year as a starter with the system, that is your 101.
I'm not going to lie. The only reason I offered you 101 was because you told me you were taking a different player. And I was like, okay, cool. That leaves my guy open at 102, which was Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart is, in Superflex, I think is pretty easily the 101. That's not a knock against any of the other guys. I think that this is a great pick here. You said 17 point, how many points per game?
0.8.
Yeah, and that includes a bunch of smaller games where he came in relief or didn't finish the whole game because he was hurt. And 17.8 points per game is very, very good and 4-point passing touchdown. The thing about Jackson Dart that I really like is they're not just counting on his legs. You'll see games where he throws the football 35, 40 times. So there is sustained fantasy success there because he can do it multiple ways. Yes, to your point, there are injury concerns. I do not care. I just simply do not care. If Jackson Dart lasts 5 years in the league and you've told yourself those 5 years that, he has injury concerns and he only plays, let's say, 13 or 14 games a year, and you're missing out on 20-plus points per game, that's your fault. Mm-hmm. I'm here to score points. I'm here to win. Jackson Dart clearly provides the best upside at the highest position of need. I think he's a great 101.
Yeah. And his average draft position was equivalent to the 205 in Dynasty rookie drafts. And
a lot of
to me, that is
scared.
Yeah, and I mean, name the last good Giants quarterback. I'll wait.
Well, I mean, just name the last good quarterback that was drafted 25th overall or later.
I mean, you got Lamar Jackson.
That was 7 years ago.
Yeah. You kind of put me on the spot. I'm trying to think of everybody drafted past that, and all I can think of is Paxton Lynch, and it just makes me want to cry.
But yeah, I mean, exactly my point. The first name that came to mind, somebody who was substantial, was Lamar Jackson. That was 7 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, good point. Man, was that 7 years ago? That was.
Yeah, 2018. Yeah, but yeah, Jackson Dart, clearly highest upside, best position. Getting a coach, probably going to get another coaching change in the offseason. It's fine. He doesn't seem too affected by scheme just because of his playmaking ability. And to your point, he's going to get 2 of the top 3 playmakers back in Malik Neighbors and Cam Scadaboo. He is frozen again, so I will move on to the 102. My 102 was originally his 101, but now I have to pivot because his 101 was my 101. I am going to go ahead and I am going to take Tate McMillan at the 102. And he's disappeared on us. So, yeah, I like Tate McMillan here. This was pretty close. This was another one of those tiers. I clearly had Jackson Dart as my 101, but Tate McMillan is my 102 and tight end premium. You could have gone a couple different ways. But to me, I think Tate's been, the most consistent rookie wide receiver. I think that he has shown the most upside, particularly in an offense that hasn't been great at times this year. And Bryce Young's had his inconsistencies, but Tate McMillan has been solid. And I think that what's important for Tate is he's already established himself in year one as the alpha and a guy that can grow into that role. So I feel like anybody that they add to this point would be more of an auxiliary piece, like a Wan'Dale Robinson to a Malik Neighbors kind of thing. I feel like that Tate is firmly establishing himself as the number one wide receiver in a franchise that is actually ascending.
I have no problem with Tate. He's actually who I have at 2. The man averaged 12.9 points is averaging that right now per game. And honestly, didn't see that coming. Bryce Young has looked better, but everybody's big concern with him was that he wasn't fast. And there's a difference between running a 40 speed and game speed. And the point of the matter is the dude's bigger than everybody, catches the ball with his hands, and gets open. And that's what you want. And Bryce has taken that and ran with it. So, yeah, Tate is the 102 here, easy for me. And then we get into some messiness.
Interesting that you called it messiness. Who's your 103?
My 103 here is Tyler Warren.
Okay.
He averages amongst the rookies, this is all just rookies, the 4th most points per game at 14.1. He is on an offense with a ton of talent while doing this. There's Pittman, there's Jonathan Taylor, you have Josh Downs. Alex Pierce has made a name for himself. And that is important because some of those guys are in contract years, pretty sure anyways, or close to it if not. And as a rookie in a group of tight ends that is hit and miss, he's number 5 right now in tight end premium. And there's only room to grow with talent leaving, with him growing as a tight end in the position, and hopefully with Daniel Jones coming back from his injury.
Yeah, Tyler Warren's my 103 as well. So I have him in the same tier as Tate. I think there's an argument you could take him over Tate. I personally wouldn't, but that's took the words right out of my mouth.
Look at us, dude. I don't like it. I think we spend too much time talking fantasy to each other.
Here's where we're going to disagree. I already know. Who do you think I'm going to go?
I bet you're going to go with Fannin.
Okay, I'm not going Fannin here. I am, however, going Omarion Hampton.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Don't hate that one bit.
God dang it, Ryan. What are you doing? So Omarion Hampton here at 104. There's a couple different players that you could have taken here, and I would have just nodded my head yes and said I agree. But for me, I think the talent between him and Genty going into the draft, I had Genty ahead of Omarion Hampton. But I feel like that gap was close enough that if I saw exactly what we saw through 15 weeks, I could flip-flop them. Whereas, going into the pre-draft process last year, I had Genty ahead of Hampton. Now I have Hampton ahead of Genty. Simply put, his situation is a lot better, and that is having a huge effect. Now, Ashton Genty is obviously having a decent fantasy output season as the RB16. He is the bell cow there, so he is largely surviving off of volume. And should the Raiders' situation ever get any better,
it's hard for
the sky would be the limit for Genty. And to your point, Jake, that RB16 is pretty much his floor at this point because it's hard to get worse. But right now I'm chasing. I would be chasing upside with what I know today. I would lean Hampton over Genty, so I would take him at 104.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't hate it at all. He was my 105. So I totally get that.
Is your 104 another pass catcher?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, Emeka Egbuka is my 104, but we'll put him at the 105 here because we were taking turns picking. And it's just simply put, he's proven that without Mike Evans and Godwin, he can be the true wide receiver one there. Now they have come back and he has taken a step back over like the past month, but the talent's there. He's proven it. And I think with them getting older and leaving, his ceiling is just going to go through the roof. And so I think right now we're kind of looking at his floor.
So he had like an amazing start to his rookie campaign. He has had one game above 11 points since week 6.
Was that last week?
No. It was like week 8 or 9. He had like a 23-point game. So I do think that the fall off has been very, very, very hard. I do not think that it's all the way Emeka Egbuka's fault. I think Baker Mayfield has struggled the last couple months.
Also
I think he's playing injured. I think he's dealing with a shoulder injury, if I'm not mistaken. Trying to play through it because that's who Baker Mayfield is. I do think it's affecting his play and affecting Emeka Egbuka's fantasy output. That being said, I have also seen some pretty nasty drops from Emeka Egbuka, ones that I'm sure he would like to have back. So it's not all on Baker Mayfield either. But in the long run, I do think that Emeka Egbuka is going to be totally fine. I think that this is a great pick. I think that this is a bit of a surprise, especially the start of the season for Emeka Egbuka, considering the fact that we couldn't predict at the time that McMillan had been hurt. We couldn't predict at the time that Bucky Irving would miss a large portion of the season, that Mike Evans would miss a large portion of the season. So he's had to step up. And to your point, he proved that he could. So with Godwin and Evans not getting any younger, I do think that this is a great investment here at 105. My 106, I have the other running back that I talked about. I have Ashton Jeanty. For all the reasons that I talked about earlier, his floor, Jesus, Ryan. His floor is pretty much what it is now because the situation can't get any worse than it is. And he's producing not to the expectation that we all thought, but an RB16 and RB2 on a contending team. I mean, you would take that, right? And there, that the talent's there. That the upside can be there. You just got to hope that situation gets a little bit better, just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing that I hate about this is I believe in Genty's talent. I think if you put him on the Chargers, he's a top 5 running back, no questions. No ifs,
yeah. If you put him on the Chargers, and in this what-if scenario, he plays to his talent, I'm taking him over Tate.
Oh, absolutely. And you would take, and he was going 101. Everybody was taking him. Nobody thought that the Raiders would be this bad except for me. And
well, you not only did you think that, you wanted it too. So
oh, dude, I couldn't have dreamed of a better football season than what is going on right now for me. For those that don't know, I'm the biggest Raiders hater there ever was. I might hate the Raiders more than I love the Broncos, and if you know me, I love the Broncos. But that's besides the point. It doesn't matter. Jeanty here at 106, I love it, and you would have been ecstatic to get him there. But I think he has hit his floor right now, which is running back 16, like you said earlier, and it can only go up.
I think Jeanty being the 106 in this draft is not so much a testament to him as it is the other individuals we're taking above him.
Yeah, and a lot of people thought this was going to be a weak draft, and honestly, a ton of rookies have come out, showed out, and I can't wait to see what they do in year 2. There is possibilities we're going to get people like Ladd McConkey regressions. We're going to get the Brian Thomas Jr. regressions, and that's why you want to sell high on some rookies. You also want to, buy high. Who knows?
Yeah, I do remember that, through the pre-draft process, this was touted as a weak class by a lot of not only NFL experts, people heavily involved in the Dynasty community. And it's the reason that I haven't given up on 2026 yet. I know everybody's kind of out on that class, but a lot of people are out on 2025 too. I do think that this class had talent. I think there were some questionable landing spots based on would they be able to hit their ceilings right away. Think back to 9 months ago when Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson was the quarterback competition in Indianapolis. We were like, Jesus Christ, it's going to be a terrible team. Look at where they're at now. Tate McMillan getting stuck with Bryce Young. It's like, oh man, what is going to come of that? The Genti situation, like Buka blocked by everybody. So there was just a lot of questions there.
Yeah. It happens. I'm up at the 107.
Yeah, let's expedite this a little bit. We're 20 minutes in and halfway through the first round.
That's fine, but okay, easy. Cam Scattaboo at the 107 here.
Ooh, okay.
Actually, he has the second most amongst rookies, only behind his teammate Jackson Dart. I can't believe I rank like the two top rookies right now in points per game are two Giants players. Evan Davis must be so happy right now. But Cam Scattaboo runs hard. Only concern is he just took a gruesome injury. How does he come back from that? And does he ever recover from whatever permanent CTE damage Arizona State gave him? But
I think he gave it to himself, but
probably. Some of my favorite things right now is watching reels of just people pretending to be Cam Scattaboo and stuff and just running into walls.
My favorite thing is watching him play, like not watching him play video games, but clips of him playing video games and him yelling at his chat. Dude's a menace, dude.
There's nothing upstairs. It's take ball, run hard. I
have Cam Scattaboo a little bit lower than this. I do think that there were some, not issues per se, but he wasn't super efficient throughout his rookie season, largely surviving off volume, which is fine. A guy like him can survive off volume. He did have a very unfortunate injury, kind of one of those freak ones that you can't really attribute to workload or anything like that. It just happened. That being said, what's up?
He was passing a catch, was he not? Or passing a catch, catching a pass.
Yeah, he was catching a pass, and him and the linebacker collided, and stuff happened. Yeah, so I'm wondering what setbacks will come of that. He still was only a fourth-round pick. I don't necessarily think the Giants are, especially with some of the weapons that have come to form there. Right, you now have your QB of the future, potentially future meaning beyond 2026. You have Malik Neighbors. You probably should re-sign Wan'Dale Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Theo Johnson's come alive the last few weeks. Maybe you have a tight end there. You have Tyrone Tracy too. I don't think that he's just not going to get used. So I think that I have more questions about Cam Scattaboo than I do this next player, which is why I am taking Travion Henderson at 108.
It was my next. And to be fair, the separator was points per game and usage.
I think the usage has come alive, right? We just saw two very, very explosive runs. We saw him kind of take the league back role, for the most part since Ramondre Stevenson went on the shelf a few weeks ago. And I think that was the big thing, is that they had to kind of work Travion Henderson in. I think that there were all kinds of rumors as to why he wasn't playing early in the season, but long story short, those days are pretty much behind us, especially with how explosive he looks. And he does it all. He's a great pass blocker. He is, great pass catcher. And he's a guy that has at least shown flashes of being able to run between the tackles. He hasn't been super successful about it this year, but the fact that they keep trying it means that, they have all the confidence in the world in him. So I wouldn't imagine, that maybe they move on from Ramondre Stevenson, or maybe they keep him as like a 1B. But even in a 1A, split role kind of thing, Travion Henderson's explosive enough that he can go. He's a set and forget.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. And prior to this, at the 106 after Genti is kind of where my tier break is like these next group of guys. It's all based on where they're at, and I want to see it continue, like the production, and then I will be happy with them after year 2 if they can keep this up. And I'll let you know when that tier break is. But Yeah, no, Henderson, loved him. Loved him out of Ohio State. Loved what he brought. Yeah, he's a little smaller, but he is explosive and he is perfect for that offense. As we saw once Stevenson went down, he went nuts. He was hitting big plays, catching the ball out of the backfield, and using that speed that we saw in college to get to the edge and blow by people. And that's who he is. And so I have no problem with that. Like I said, he was my next guy up anyways. And you honestly could flop the next three guys, in my opinion.
Okay. Who you got next?
Quinshon Judkins.
Okay. Yeah.
My only reservation with him is he plays for the Cleveland Browns.
And for a large majority of the season, he was overcoming that.
He was, but that's when he was getting more checkdowns, and Shedeur doesn't really check down to his running backs. And so he's kind of regressed right now, which is totally fine. But he runs hard, runs between tackles. And if he ever gets a competent offense around him to where they're not playing behind the sticks 24/7 and he can get the 20 carries and be consistent, he is going to be a stud. And he's shown that he can be a stud. And so I'm just waiting for the Browns to remove head from anus and, be good.
I think if there are any playoff teams out there that have Quinshon Judkins that rode his success earlier in the season, I think now is a good time to go in, and if your league doesn't have trade deadline, go ahead and check in on the Quinshon Judkins owner, maybe see if they want to get an upgrade at the position, but potential buy low window here, because I agree, the talent that Quinshon Judkins showed, there were no concerns about Quinshon Judkins' talent. Everybody was very concerned about when are we going to see him on the field. Well, he's on the field now. Okay? Those legal issues are behind him. And to your point, bit of a slip the last month, but I think that it's a great buy low window because I don't think that Shedeur Sanders is there long term. We can get into Shedeur when we get there. But I do think that offense evolves, and I think that it starts to build around Quinshon Judkins and his teammate, the aforementioned Harold Fannin, which is my next pick at 110.
Yep. Cool. We are on pace. I like it. I like where our heads are at.
Yeah, so Fannin was an interesting one because so what I did to get the names of who I thought should be in the top 24 for this draft, I went back to our rookie drafts, our previous drafts. I drafted there was one league where I saw that Fannin was drafted in the third round, and the league that I have Harold Fannin, I acquired him off the waiver wire for $26 a fab. So
steal.
Yeah, so 8 months ago, you could have gotten Harold Fannin for basically nothing. And now here we are talking about him as, a redraft, late first round pick where there's an argument that he could be higher than this. The reason I don't have him higher than this, though, is because a lot of his success is attributed to the fact that Shedeur Sanders does not love dumping off to his running backs. He loves dumping off to his tight end. But at this point, I think Harold Fannon's shown enough an ability, especially with David Njoku becoming a free agent in the offseason, that he is probably, like Tyler Warren, going to potentially be the number one pass catcher on his team next year. And he will be the potential centerpiece of the passing offense. So, I don't think that he's as good as Warren, but I think that that's something that the Cleveland Browns could potentially be setting Harold Fannin up for.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to lie. I was not the biggest believer in Fannin. I loved his athletic ability, but we've seen athletic tight ends turn into nothing. And so I was sketched out. And, I only mapped out the second round average draft positions. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just that part there. And he wasn't on it. So you either got him in the third round or later, like Ryan said, got him for some fab. And if you did that, that's the most important thing in the world, is that's where you make your team go from not a contender to a contender, is when you are able to pick up the rookies, the diamonds in the rough, and that really is what sets your team up for success in the future.
I think that's why it's important. So, like later in drafts, I tend to take flyers on tight ends, quarterbacks, maybe even running backs, because of the way those positions are treated. They don't have to go through as many avenues to become fantasy relevant. And I think that Harold Fannon's a great example of that. Just take the flyer on somebody, with that sort of positional advantage. And there's another individual that I want to bring up that I have on my board later that we will be drafting.
Oh yeah.
That kind of exemplifies that as well. Actually, there's a couple individuals that exemplify that, but there are certain positions that you should target later in rounds simply because of the positional scarcity, the way that their path is to fantasy success. So Harold Fannon's kind of the definition of that.
All right. Okay. And at the 111 here, kind of where he was drafted in a lot of drafts, RJ Harvey. And plainly put it, he was sharing time, catching, and still scoring touchdowns. Yes, he's scoring a ton of touchdowns right now. He's at 10 or 11 for the season, which is awesome. He has, I'm pretty sure, 6 rushing, 4 catching. And right now he's doing it all as the bell cow. Yeah, you want to see more rushing between the tackles, but he has the speed and the wiggle and the catching ability to be elite. And Sean Payton talks about it on how he is going to be a monster. And I think the hardest thing for him was learning how to be a pro in this complex offense. And that is why they went out and got J.K. Dobbins, is because he was a pro already. He knows what to do. And as you watch R.J. Harvey, if you watch the Broncos, which I get the pleasure of doing right now, he has picked it up. And now he's out there on third downs. He is making amazing pass blocking pickups across the formation. He's just seen the field. He is smart, and I think the ceiling's only going to go up for him.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty good spot for RJ Harvey because I agree. He's finally putting that pass catching on display. He was a little slow going in the beginning of the season. They were using J.K. Dobbins a lot. I think that a lot of the points you made are very good points. I have him just a hair lower, probably in the same tier. At this point, you and I have made a couple different picks, Scadaboo being one, this one being another. I actually had Scadaboo as my 112, and I have RJ Harvey as my 202. So not terribly far from here. My only concern with RJ Harvey is that I don't ever see a path to him being a bell cow. I absolutely 100% see the Broncos not bringing back necessarily J.K. Dobbins, but I feel like that there will always be that type of back hanging around in the backfield. I do think they make a move in the offseason to shore up that backfield a little bit. I just don't see a path for RJ Harvey to consistently be a dominant bell cow. Other than that, I think he has the great skills that you look for fantasy upside, pass catching. And the other concern that I have is he does have 10 touchdowns. How sustainable is that moving forward? We will have to see. So there's always a bit of a concern for me when a lot of your fantasy production comes from touchdowns. It's the reason that I could not get Devontae Adams off my roster fast enough when I lost in Friday Night Lights. 14 touchdowns, elevated his production to wide receiver 5 or 6. Obviously Devontae Adams is a future first-round Hall of Famer, but at 32 years old, it's like, okay, how sustainable is that? And I kind of have that same question about RJ Harvey. How sustainable is it that year in and year out he's going to score double-digit touchdowns, especially if he's not a bell cow?
Can I guess your 112 here?
Sure.
I'm going to go with Tyler Shough.
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
My 112 here, you actually had the right position. It's Cam Ward.
Ooh. Interesting.
I think we need to remember something about Cam Ward is, one, he went to – this wasn't Caleb Williams going 101 to the stacked Bears. This was Cam Ward going to just an absolutely awful team, absolutely awful organization, with no real offensive help on the line at the running back position or at the wide receiver position. The defense wasn't very good. The coach got fired midway through the season. There were basically anything that could have been bad about the Titans was. That being said, I have faith in the draft capital, right? He is a locked-in starting quarterback for at least, I would say probably 2 more years. I would say they give him 2 more years, which is huge. But I think since Brian Callahan got fired, there's been at least of a glimpse. Now, it's not going to necessarily show up on the stat sheet, but if you go watch Cam Ward, he does look a lot different. He looks more comfortable in the NFL. He looks like he's kind of figured out a little bit of the timing issues that you and I had stressed about in his film review, that we were concerned he was going to hold on to the ball too long. I think that visibly it's gotten better to the point where I'm like, okay, I still think that he is worth a first-round pick in a super flex league, that this is a guy that, if you're rebuilding, maybe you should go gamble on, take your early second or something and maybe go try and flip it for this guy. I do think that there is enough there to kind of be like, okay, let's see what the Titans can do. But that organization does have a lot of work.
Yeah, no, they have a ton of work to do, and it's going to be very interesting to see where they go. But at the 201 here, I'm going to take Orlando Gadsden.
Who?
It's not Orlando, is it?
Rondé Gadsden?
Yeah, that guy. Just started with a no. I have everything just written down as last names on my paper, so I was just like, oh crap, I forgot his name.
Orlando Gadsden.
I was just going with two cities that I knew.
I'll be honest with you. I think I left him off. And not like unintentionally either. I think that this draft turned into a very deep draft very quickly. And I see the appeal. I'll let you get into your reasons. I absolutely see the appeal, but I left him off.
No. Well, I mean, he's averaging 11.2 right now in tight end premium. And yes, he's had a few lull weeks, but he has shown that he can stretch the field. He can show that he runs the routes. He can block a little bit, and he's athletic. And I think if Herbert was healthy, he would do a little bit better. But he is extremely young, extremely raw, and in an offense that wants to use their tight end, that likes to do the bootlegs, and he runs across. And that's just how I feel. And so, yeah. So give me him at the 201.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably get flamed for saying that I left him off. And again, I do think that there is a path. Actually, you know what? Now that I say that, I'm going to swap one of the guys out that I had with him.
Okay.
I did have Mason Taylor on here, but I'm just going to take him off.
I'm interested to see how our endings are because I still have Mason Taylor on here. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting. But yeah, I mean, there was a point in time there where Gadsden was really going off, and then he really wasn't. He just hasn't shown enough consistency for me this year. But given the fact that it is tight end and 95% of the position isn't consistent at all, that probably shouldn't deter me from that. So, like I said, I will add him onto my list. Yeah, and to your point, he's in a great situation. The offensive line is fantastic. The quarterback's fantastic. They have a running back. They have receivers. So there's no real reason to suspect that they will upgrade on the offensive side as far as skill position players. But I think this is a bit of a reach given – I would probably consider him like mid-second. That's probably the earliest I'd start thinking about him.
Okay, I got you.
Yep, my own personal opinion. Beauty is that we're allowed to have both. I am surprised that you took him over the guy I'm going to take, and that is Colston Loveland.
Okay, and I do have Loveland at the 203 here. And so we kind of just jumbled our guys a little bit here. But
so what's interesting is I have Loveland at the 111.
Interesting.
Yeah, I had Cam Ward at 110 and Loveland at 111.
So you're happy with where you're getting these guys right now?
Yeah, I think I'm getting some pretty good value, but that's the beauty of being two different people, two different managers is you're looking at my draft picks like this guy's an idiot, and I'm getting all the studs, and I'm looking at you like, thanks for letting me have all the value, buddy.
Exactly.
Colston Loveland was the very first draft pick of the Ben Johnson era in Chicago, with, comps to Sam Laporta. He is an extremely athletic pass catcher. It did take him a little bit to kind of get going, as most rookies do. I know we saw Tyler Warren. That was a big debate in the offseason. Who we going, Warren or Loveland? Warren or Loveland? I was a big Loveland guy, still am. I think that the game, we saw it against Cincinnati, who granted is the worst team defending tight ends probably ever, but there are some like obvious athletic traits, and you can be like, okay, I see why they took this guy 10th overall in the first round. As he's getting more comfortable in the offense, Caleb Williams has struggled to complete some passes recently over the last month or so. But I feel like Ben Johnson right now, isn't going to fix all of Caleb Williams' problems in 1 year. I don't think that was ever a realistic expectation. I think that that's going to take, a couple years of beating out of those bad habits. But I do think that Colston Loveland, having the draft capital they has, showing the ability why they drafted him that high already, is a key factor. And if I were able to get him at 202, that would be just absolute. That would leave me absolutely ecstatic.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. But the next guy I'm going to bring up here at the 203 is Tyler Shuck.
I think that's exactly where I had him. No, I had him at 204.
Oh, well. Tyler Shuck and you and I have sent text messages to each other while he's playing. We're just like, holy shit. Is he for real? Is he good? Were the Saints actually doing something right with their draft picks? Like,
I hope Hawkins is watching this, because I don't know if you remember this. He said that when they drafted Shuck, that the Saints were playing for 101. He just automatically assumed that they were going to get Arch Manning and that Shuck was terrible. And I said, how do you know? You haven't seen him play yet. This dude can ball.
His big knock was his injuries. That's it.
And the fact that he's basically our age.
He is older than Bo Nix, and I want to see him get flamed for it, like everybody else flamed Bo Nix for it. I'm tired of the slander. But besides the point, he has gone out, he has balled, he has ran this offense pristinely, and he makes every game close. If not, they have won the game. And it's not because of him just dinking and dunking. He is slinging the rock around. He is running this offense, and it is just a thing of beauty. I'm so happy for Saints fans right now that they have the hope of a good quarterback. But also, big shout out to Kellen Moore. The dude is just an offensive genius. He did it at Boise, and then he went on, did it as an OC for the Eagles. We kind of see what the Eagles are doing right now, just kind of drowning on offense. I had to take the shot, I'm sorry. And now he's over in New Orleans taking Tyler Shuck. And
I'm more concerned about the fact that you missed all his other destinations. LA, Dallas.
I just wanted the Eagles shot right there.
It's all good, man. We're the reigning champs until we're not.
Hey, man, God bless, and it's going to be the Broncos now. I can't believe I just said that.
Another interesting stat for Tyler Shuck. Since their bye week, his last 4 starts, 7 carries, 6 carries, 7 carries, 8 carries. He had a 2-touchdown rushing game in there too. So this is not a statue in the pocket. This is a guy that just on rushing yards alone has earned you 2.2, 1.8, 5.5, and 3.2 extra points over the last 4 weeks. So, yeah, I think 203 is great value. I think that he was a great value in rookie drafts. You could get him I think the earliest I took him was the end of the second round at 208. I saw him go in the third round. I saw him go for fab. People just immediately counted him out. So, great pick.
Also, big shout out to him and my Scott Fishbowl. He's been my starter the last 2 weeks, and he's been balling.
So 204, I do feel like it's time. This is a guy who I thought was getting drafted way too high, that the praise was way too high, and it's because of what happened. I can't necessarily say that, I told you so, that I'm right. I do think it's time to take Travis Hunter here. He was the second overall pick of the draft. He did play a large percentage of his snaps at wide receiver, a lot larger than I was anticipating. I just don't think that he, deserved the praise of, people are like, oh, if he's a full-time wide receiver, he's better than Tate. No, he's not. He never was. You only said that because it was popular to say that. If you go back and watch college film, dude's getting bullied at the line on press coverage because he's too small.
Will you look it up for me real quick?
Depends. I'm typing in the draft. But I am taking Travis Hunter here. Again, great draft capital. Trevor Lawrence, the last month or so has seemed to just like all of a sudden click into Liam Cohen's offense. That has developed. There's a couple good running backs there in ETN. I think he comes back next year. Brian Thomas Jr., is like semi like peeking his head out of his anus, to quote Mr. Krogan there. And Parker Washington's look good. It's an offense that is wide open for targets. It doesn't look like that there's a dominant number one right now. I know we all hope it's Brian Thomas Jr. Could be Travis Hunter, but it is definitely an ascending team. And I think that if you got Travis Hunter at 204 today, you'd be pretty happy.
Yeah, you'd be extremely happy, especially where, he was the, number 3 overall pick? And Number two, yeah. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Will you look up his last game before he got injured and how he did? And I'm pretty sure he caught 8 passes on like 11 targets or something, where they just decided he was going to be the wide receiver 1 vocal point. And that is kind of what I think is going to happen, but he needs to come back from this injury. We'll figure out what was wrong with his shoulder or whatever. And the talent's there. He won the Heisman for a reason. He is an athletic freak that just loves to play football. And I think at the end of the day, at the 204, you were extremely happy. I honestly wouldn't mind buying him low right now.
14 targets, 8 catches, 101 yards, 1 touchdown. Now, that looks great as his last game. It is worth noting that is the only game that he had that was double digits at that point.
Yeah.
But again, he was a rookie learning an offense. Trevor Lawrence wasn't. I don't think he was struggling as bad as people made it seem. I think Trevor Lawrence earlier in the season had a Brian Thomas Jr. problem, and his solution to that problem has been just don't throw him the football as much. But
yeah, and that's what I'm saying is I think they stopped with Brian Thomas Jr. making him the number 1, and they were like, you know what? We're just going to go to the guy we took 2 overall. We're going to make him the first read and see how that goes, and it showed. And that's kind of just my, tinfoil cap here thoughts. Go get Travis Hunter. You can probably get him for pretty cheap.
Yeah, if he's sitting on a contender's IR and you are, a team that just got eliminated from the playoffs, or you're a rebuilding team, go throw something at him. Like, hey man, it's point scoring season. Let me give you somebody who's scoring points in exchange for Travis Hunter.
Exactly. And so I had him at the 204 exactly. So you had him at the same as me. I have Jaden Higgins here.
I had Hunter at the 201, by the way.
Hunter at 201? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I have Jaden Higgins here. And his only knock is that he has to play with Nico Collins. That is his only knock. The man kind of has gone out there. He is bald. There are some games where he's just irrelevant. And I'm just going to chalk that up to CJ Stroud not being able to see the offense, not being able to see the field that well because he's running for his life. The offensive line is the question mark of the Houston Texans and honestly will be their downfall for this year. But he averages 7 points a game right now, which as a rookie that was taking this first pick of the second round, it's not great, but it's not terrible. But he has shown flashes that he can be elite. He can be the next Nico Collins. And I'm excited to see what he's going to do.
Yeah, I love Jaden Higgins. He was one of my guys going into the draft process last year. You remember that? Great size, great, good athletic ability, a little bit raw as a route runner, but as the season has progressed, he's gotten more involved. I think it was just a learning curve for a lot of people because the Texans collectively were learning a new offense, and then CJ Stroud got hurt. So I think it's just been some natural growing pains, but Jaden Higgins has looked fantastic. He's a guy that I really look forward to watching. I don't think that, obviously, unless something drastic happens to Nico Collins, I don't think he's ever going to be a wide receiver 1, but I think he could dabble into the wide receiver 2 territory and certainly be a wide receiver 3 in fantasy moving forward.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
My 206 is Kyle Monangai. I think that after watching how his role has developed in the Ben Johnson offense, if I can get 3 years of Kyle Monangai at the 206 that kind of has similar statistics to a David Montgomery the last couple of years in Detroit, I think that I'm ecstatic with that. I'm over the moon about it. And I think Kyle Monangai really carved out a role for himself in that offense. And I think the big question mark is DeAndre Swift going to be back? And if not, do they even replace him? Maybe Kyle Monangai becomes a lead back type. We just don't know what that's going to look like in the offseason. But even if they do decide to bring in DeAndre Swift or a similar type of back, we've already seen an established role with Monangai. So I think that that's a pretty safe bet at 206. Somebody you can plug into your flex and potentially your RB2 spots. If you're getting that kind of depth at 206, this draft class is deep, man.
It honestly is, and I want to see how they do next year. I can't wait. Pretty excited here. I have him at the 207, so I mean pretty close to where he's at right now. Up next, I have the Luther Burden.
Okay.
Talent, metrics, athleticism, all there. The question is a lot of his stuff was dink and dunk at Missouri, and that's like he was a yak guy. His route running was in question and all that. And to start the season, it was very questionable he wasn't playing, but he continually, and I'm pretty sure over the last month, has been the highest targeted player. Correct me if I'm wrong. Probably wrong there, but
I know he's done very well the last month or so.
And it's only going to get better because I don't think DJ Moore is there next year. I think they plug him into the slot where he's comfortable. It's going to be Odunze on the outside, and you're going to have your boy Loveland at tight end, and that's kind of just how this is going to go. That's just my thought process, and so I love Luther Burden here. And, I mean, he's averaging 7 fantasy points a game. So a nice little flex option here at the 207, and you can't be too mad.
So week 11 on 5, 6, 6, 7 targets, and this past game against Cleveland, 6 catches, 84 yards. So the involvement is increasing. There are a lot of mouths to feed in not Detroit, in Chicago right now. Well, in Detroit too, but in Chicago right now, and I do think that he's kind of fighting to carve out his role. I do think that Rome Odunze being injured and Rome Odunze kind of having his fall off is going to help help the production of Burden down the stretch a little bit. I'm not sold that DJ Moore's gone. I know that ideally everybody in the Dynasty community would really love that, but if you look at some of the cap numbers, he's going to be hard to move. It's not impossible, but he's definitely going to be an expensive player to trade. So I'm not 100% convinced he's gone, but nonetheless, looking, maybe next year, maybe the year after, I do think Luther Burden still has a small buy window.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So I had him on there. I don't, because of how I formatted this, I don't know where I had him, but so at 208. So I think this is going on late enough. There have been ups and downs with this guy. I do think that he gets a chance in 2026. I do think that Shedeur Sanders at least starts the season as the Cleveland Browns quarterback. Hopefully Cleveland realizes that they are more than just a quarterback away. And while I don't think the world of Sanders, I do think that they're, obviously it's really popular to like him. It's really unpopular to hate him. You got to be hating him for no reason, hating him because of his dad. I don't hate him. I do think that there are a lot of problems in his game. For example, every time you drop back, stop dropping back at some point. Stop drifting back into the pocket. I need you to step up and make a throw.
He Drew Locks it.
Yeah, everything is literally pedaling off the back foot is what it looks like. And it's tough to watch sometimes. Forces a lot of mistakes. Very slow to read a defense, but also you've seen some big plays from him. You've seen the ceiling plays, and you've seen some really low floor. I do think he gets a run in 2026, and that's kind of why I'm taking him here at this point because, who knows what happens in a full offseason if the Cleveland Browns commit to him as a starter. I think that all 3 of the quarterbacks that they're going to carry next year are already on the roster anyway. I don't think that they make any more changes. I think it's going to be him, Dylan Gabriel, and I think it's going to be Deshaun Watson. But yeah, I just, at this point, if I'm taking, 208, I'm getting a guy who I am 90% sure he's going to be a starting quarterback to start next season. I think that's pretty good value.
I have a question. Just popped in my head. Why didn't the Colts try and get Deshaun Watson?
Because he's hurt.
I'm pretty sure he's healthy.
No, he's hurt. He's on the pup.
Is he? I thought he was dressing out already. Okay, maybe. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, no, he's on the pup.
44-year-old Philip Rivers it is. Got it. Up next, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have Shedeur Sanders on my top 24.
Yeah,
I don't hate him. I'm not hating him. I really do hope.
You're a hater. It's because his dad is Dion.
I love Dion. I think he puts in the work. I hope to God he becomes a superstar because everybody will look absolutely stupid that didn't already have a franchise quarterback. But, I mean, I just need to see it. I need to see the consistency. We have definitely seen the floor of floors, and we have seen the high of highs. I want to see consistency, and I think he can do it. I would love to see him start next year, and we'll see.
I also want to see them get better pass catchers because I'm sorry. I know you're probably going to die with this guy. Jerry Jeudy's not good.
He's dead to me.
That ship has sailed. Jerry Jeudy is, to quote the Hall of Fame Steve Smith, a jag.
Yeah, I got nothing to say. I've already dug that whore dig. And
nice. How about we just move on to your next pick, huh?
Yeah, right. Up next, I have.
Dang it.
What?
I mean, not dang it, but dang it. This is Dynasty relevant. Adam Schefter just tweeted, Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love announced he is declaring for the NFL draft.
Oh, no. Who saw that coming? Everybody
saw that coming. There is a small part of my Notre Dame, my Notre Dame fan themselves going to die, but.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Notre Dame getting snubbed, but it's fun.
I could probably go on like a 5-minute rant about that.
I know you could, but sadly we don't have time for that. So I'm going to make this quick. Pat Bryant at my next pick here. Thank you very much. I'm sorry. I know you like making that sound, but.
Oh, yeah, hold up.
do it correct now.
Yeah, no.
Look, Pat Bryant.
I see the sentiment.
Go ahead.
I see the sentiment. I know it.
Sentiment,
Go ahead.
I see the sentiment. No. Let me hear it. Let me hear why you're going.
Man, what has he done?
What hasn't he done?
Anything at all.
He's literally over the last month been the wide receiver one, essentially.
I'll be honest. I know that he's kind of turned up like in a couple games, like the last 6 weeks, but yeah, I mean,
he's in a very complex offense. A rookie. And having to fight Troy Franklin, who, let's be fair, has kind of balled out this year. He replaced him up until he got hurt.
Troy Franklin has balled.
And Cortland Sutton, who is a savvy vet, probably going to be a Pro Bowler this year.
So I just haven't seen enough.
No, that's the thing is he is a buy low champ right now.
And I don't think that he's super gross. I think that, if we were doing a 3-round mock, he'd end up somewhere in the 3rd round. But
that's where
I think there are much better names that you have omitted in this spot. I think there's an obvious, for sure obvious, much better name than him. The rest are okay, we can have a conversation.
Go.
Bashal Tutin.
Not gonna lie, I left him off.
Okay. So Bashal Tutin's my next pick. Not only have we seen him start to develop a role, how the hell do you spell his name? There it is.
T-U-T-E-N.
Not only have we seen him develop a role, but there's also the lingering Travis Etienne's a free agent. May not come back.
Yeah, no, and honestly, I don't hate this. I was fighting with him for these last 3 spots. Like, I was trying to make efforts, and honestly, I went with tight ends and Pat Bryant.
I just think that running like Bayshall Tootin has a way easier path to fantasy relevance than Pat Bryant because I've said it on the show before. Carries are given, targets are earned. So if Travis Etienne goes down, Bayshall Tootin's the number one running back in that offense. He's an RB2. If Cortland Sutton goes down, Evan Ingram's involvement goes up, RJ Harvey's involvement goes up, Pat Bryant's involvement goes up, Troy Franklin's involvement goes up. Like it doesn't directly just help Pat Bryant. And I think that's where I'm at with this is at this point in the draft, my draft strategy is to take receivers, crumble them up on a paper, Kobe, and they're going right into the trash can because they just have such a hard time, and everybody's going to say, oh, Amon-Ra St. Brown was a third-round pick. Sure, Amon-Ra St. Brown was a third-round rookie pick 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Not saying that it can't happen. I'm just saying that, some of the names we've talked about, Tootin was a third-round pick, and he has, developed this potential role. Monangai was a third-round pick or an undrafted free agent. There's just an easier path for running backs. That's where I'm at with that. I like the tight ends one too. I like that you just said tight ends.
Speaking of that, you're up.
I just picked Tootin.
Oh, I'm up. And that's easy. Gunnar Helm here.
I told you Gunnar Helm over Mason Taylor.
You did, and actually, I do have Mason Taylor over Gunnar Helm here, but if you put a gun to my head, and that's kind of what I just played as a scenario, I'm going Gunnar Helm with what
if you put a gunner to your head
is going on here, and he has kind of balled out the last few weeks, and we love the dog in him from his 40 time where he snapped his ankle and said, "I got this."
Ran the slowest 40 ever, and then had the world's largest ankle. There was a baseball hanging out in his foot. It's okay, that's understandable.
But that's what you want in life. You want the dog. You want the guy that's going to go out there no matter what and ball. And that is what he has done. He is a young tight end in an offense that is just begging for playmakers. And he's kind of done it. So I'm here for it.
So with the Mr. Irrelevant in this draft, now I'm in a pickle because I don't know who to take here. I am between one of three names, but I prefer two of them. You got a guess?
I'm going to go with you're going to pick Shamir Dyke.
No.
Huh.
No. I'm going to pick. Oh, man, this is tough. I'll go with Woody Marks. It was between Woody Marks, Devin Neal, and the already apparently by us just tossed in the trash Matthew Golden, who we need to remember was a 23rd overall pick 8 months ago.
Not gonna lie, Matthew Golden is my Mr. Irrelevant. I wanted to put Woody Marks there.
I've seen some from there have been flashes in the pan from Woody Marks. He hasn't been super fantastic this year. He's one of my bigger sells in Dynasty because he just hasn't been outstanding as a day 3 draft pick. And we've seen plenty teams, including the Texans, just a couple years ago, replace their day 3 picks like it's nothing. That being said, at 212, there is the what if they don't do it? Well, I've seen Woody Marks put up some pretty decent fantasy games. So if Joe Mixon is dead and not coming back to the NFL, Woody Marks, there's a path. There is a tunnel where he gets those easy, 12, 13-point games. Sometimes he'll have the 8-point games. Sometimes he'll have the 15-point games. But there's at least a path where that is a real thing because we're seeing that unfold right now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
But yeah, the other one that I had was Devin Neal. If Alvin Kamara is done in New Orleans, what we've seen with Devin Neal and Tyler Shuck has actually been pretty good. So that's where my head was at. And then Matthew Golden, yes, the numbers haven't been great, but he was, again, top 25 pick, not 8 months ago.
I'm just going to say this. Keep an eye out for Audric Estime this week. If you're doing a DFS, that might be a cheap buy that you might want to use. He had 12 fantasy points this last week in the Saints offense.
Cheap DFS plays, Jawar Jordan. Dude just had a 16-point game when Woody Marks got hurt.
True. Okay, so I have 2 questions for you before we end this. First one. Biggest surprise rookie?
Ooh. From their value?
From where they were drafted or not drafted to now.
There's a lot of names that are surprises, but Harold Fannon's probably the biggest because of the reason we talked about. He was a 3rd-round pick. He was an undrafted free agent. And we're talking in tight end premium formats. And, now we're talking about him as a 1st-round pick, in a 2025 redraft after 15 weeks. We're talking about him as a late 1st-round pick. So that's a huge climb.
Yeah. I like him or like Gadsden. Either or works.
I like Monangai. Monangai is a pretty good one, too. 7th-round running back that carved out a role for himself.
Yep. And then biggest disappointment. This one is blatantly obvious.
It's either Cam Ward or Matthew Golden.
You're missing one. Caleb Johnson.
Yeah, Caleb Johnson is probably the biggest disappointment. I know I wasn't very high on him, so that's probably why I forgot about it. But he was absolutely from the consensus biggest disappointment. I also think that he is a fantastic buy. You can basically get him in any package for free.
Yeah, essentially people just throw him in.
Yeah. Hey, get this guy off my roster so I don't have to drop him.
Yeah, I think he's a good buy, but honestly, people were drafting him with the 110. That was his average draft position.
That's bad. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's rough. If you wasted a 110 there, you're like,
yeah, you wasted a 110 there is the good word for it. But because I just saw that Jeremiah Love is going into the draft, I am not wasting my 101 and we hate running backs. Bring me my boy. I've finally waited. I think this is going to be the first time I'm able to draft a Notre Dame player where it's just not like a stupid reach. It'll finally come true.
Hey, man, I gave you your Audric Estime shout out there. So,
I mean, he's kind of dead. But
kind of dead. I kind of feel bad for him because right now Denver could use a between the tackle runner, and he would have been a great one, and they just let him go.
But so that is all for the rookie draft. I think those were good questions. Thank you for the obvious answer. I do think Matthew Golden's been a pretty big disappointment too, especially because he had the opportunities early on with the injuries in that wide receiver room. Christian Watson out, Jaden Reed out, didn't really do anything to separate himself.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have any closing remarks before we get out of here?
The Denver Broncos are the number 1 seed right now, own a playoff spot, and suck it, Raiders. You suck.
Speaking of number 1 seeds, LA travels to Seattle, both teams 11-3.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, sure is. I might actually tune into a Thursday night football game. How about that? That being said, thank you for tuning in here at BSing Sports. Had a fantastic show where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports. Have a good night.